Hello and welcome back to another Minecraft Ideas. This time we're gonna tackle some small things like cliffs. So let's get right into it, shall we? The first cliff is something you probably want to build in the mountainside. We have a lot of mountains. It's filled with some ores that you could mine, or well, in this case just for the decoration, but it will show you like, oh, this big mountainside is filled with minerals that normal companies couldn't get there yet, so it's just filled to the brim with ores. So how this thing works is at the bottom you obviously have your grass, and I also try to put some water blocks and tiny concrete powder here and there in combination with moss blocks and some deep slate at the beginning of a mountain. And then when you go a little bit higher, it's more dirt and here and there some wood, showing you more of a darker dirt or mud. And once you get a little bit more higher, that's where the boulders start. And the boulders are made out of just plain old block of raw iron, some rooted dirt, and coarse dirt, normal dirt as well, but not over here, and some over here. And then a combination with stripped birch wood, wood sandstone, and other wood like the dark oak wood for the texturing. Try to do the light part more on the top and the darker parts more on the bottom. And then sometimes I have a connection between two boulders using the same material I use for the boulder itself, which is a stripped birch wood and the raw iron. And here there's some smooth sandstone. I try to do some shading in the middle of the boulder, as you got multiple cuts in your mountain which are deeper than the boulder itself, and try to make that even more deeper with using darker colors. That's not really that much deeper, but because it's darker it looks like it goes very deep. And I did that with brown terracotta, stripped dark oak wood and mud. That's basically the entire composition of this cliff. I also tried to throw in some green parts here and there with the green concrete powder, moss blocks, flowers and etc. And on top you have a green patch as well. Sometimes you got like some yellow looking grass or some lighter grass than you normally have, and try to do that with the lime concrete powder. From afar it will look like it's some lighter kind of grass or lighter kind of moss, so it works very well on this cliff. And because of the sun I removed my shaders for a second so you can look how it is if it's not in the shadow of the sun. And this is how the first build looks without my shaders. You can see it really works even without the shaders. You still have the dark parts and the light parts, which will work really well. And for the next one, I would say it's more of a French seaside cliff, which are more whitish looking, with also some darker colors here and there, also some lighter colors here and there. And I try to mimic that. And this one is made mainly out of calcite. Other than that, try to do some darker parts at the bottom with the light gray concrete, stripped dark oak wood, and some other dark blocks you can see here and there. The more I go up, the more I try to add some lighter colors and also try to do some darker colors in where the sun doesn't reach as much. Or maybe there was a clip there before, but it fell off during the test of time and now it's a darker and it's more damaged. And I'll try to do more lighter sides as well. You got the dark side over there, which is on the right, and on the left side maybe this cliff is older and it's getting more gray, maybe the sun touch it more, just a shading thing. I mainly used sand for that, but you can also use stripped birch, which is basically the same shading as over here with the sand and the birch, but more spread out. And with the calcite you could add some white concrete powder here and there to switch off the texture as well, so it won't look as boring. You could also use some white concrete, but be careful with the powder as well. If you want to add a small waterfall, then all the powder will be switched into white concrete, because that's how concrete works. And on top it's more of a I would say more of a dry grass. Maybe it's summer here and the grass got dried out. Tried to add some dry patches as well with yellow terracotta and brown terracotta. If you look from afar you will see that it actually fits in very nicely. If you have an entire field like that, I reckon it will look very beautiful. can also add small details to the cliffs with the rooted dirt or with vines. In this case, since it's a dry top, I also added some roots to further express that dryness. And this is how the second cliff works without the shaders. It works even better in my opinion, as it doesn't add an overwhelming amount of brightness to it. So you can see the darker parts even more and the light parts come out a little bit less, I would say, but it worked fine. Then the next one is also a seaside cliff, but it's one of more of the layered cliff. You sometimes see it, right? In the cliffs, there are also kind of layers of stones. So I'll probably add this picture to this as well. So it is exactly that. I tried to do some layers from brown terracotta, dark brown terracotta, and deep slate. Then, wait, no, this is not deep slate, it's black stone. Then I used deep slate, and I always switch this, no, it's andesite. I always switch granite and andesite. I mean, this kind of looks like granite, right? Like, if you think about it, right? Anyway, then I put another deep slate, black stone, basically switch it off the entire time. And then we got a green part in the middle. We just tried to do the same tactic as up there, but this time I also added some lime concrete instead of powder. Not quite sure if it works as well. It works good as well, but I'm honestly able to stick with the powder. But you can try and switch it around to see if it works. Maybe sometimes it will work, but in this case maybe the powder wasn't good enough. And then I just kept on doing the same layer part to the top, and on top is more lush, it has more moss. Also has the glowberries dripping from the stones. That's a small detail. I also added some dripstone here and there. If you notice it maybe. It's in small part, but it really adds to the cliff itself. I also added granite in some parts and also diorite in the cuts of the cliff. So I tried to do some small cuts here and there, and below that I used different blocks. You can also use raw iron from the side to add more minerals to your cliff if you want that, and adds to the build entirely. Yeah, it's a nice and simple cliff. Not that complicated. If you look at it, it kind of makes sense, right? You always try to do a layer and then you kind of try to expand that layer here and there. Let's say this is the layer I want to build on. I just do one stripe like this, and then I add to the top and the bottom, and then I try to blend it in. And this is how this cliff works without the shadow from the sun. It works well, in my opinion. Yeah, I have nothing bad to say about this one. Again, I will probably not use the lime concrete and instead use a powder. It just works better in my opinion. This looks kind of odd. But yeah, other than that, I have no complaint about this one either. Then the last one, this is more of a forest cliff. The cliff you see if you're in a big forest, well, I'll try to do that. So it's also very lush and it's also dark and white. Basically a combination of that one and this one if you kind of look at it. So it's a lot of white but also some layers of black, which really adds to it, you know. White and black is always a very beautiful combination. And if you add the lushness of the forest to it, it just really stands out. And personally, this is my favorite one because I see myself using this one in my own world. And I swear this has nothing to do with the overgrown nature thingies. Even though I really love that. And it's just that I really like the composition of this build as well. So how I try to build this one is, if you kind of sneak in between here, I really did a combination of this build, where you have the warp, the moss, etc. But then I also added some mossy bricks fading into the building as well, as it doesn't like instantly go to stone. Added a lot of vines on the bottom. And then in the middle, it's mainly just the rocks. Try to add some copper here and there as well for the minerals. And once you add more towards the upper part or the mountain, it's basically the same thing as the bottom one, but then in reverse, but also no moss, as moss mainly grows like on the bottom of things and not on top of things. This part also needs a lot more light, so it will make sense if there's like a ton of moss here. But I did add more glow bears just like over there. I did some glow bears here as well, but I also add more mossy cobble. I know I said it didn't make sense for mossy glow up there, but mossy cobble kind of makes sense, right? You have cobble and maybe there's some darker parts where moss grows. So it kind of still makes sense. For the cliff itself, I used diorite and calcite and white concrete powder as the white part, and I just used basalt for the black parts. You could try to add more darker blocks here and there as well. As you can see, it is up here. Add some cyan terracotta. It's so weird to me that this is cyan. This is not cyan. This is absolutely just gray. Why are you like this, Mojan? Why are you like this? But yeah, it's a very simple build. If you really look at it, I only used 4 different kind of blocks for the main compartments. I used mossy cobblestone and moss here and there for the more lush parts. But other than that, it's not that complicated. And on top, of course, the force has to go on. Oh, there's a force on the bottom and the force on top, which adds more to the lushness of this cliff. And lastly, this is how this cliff looks in normal shaders. And you can see it is still very beautiful, even without extra lightning. This works great in vanilla Minecraft as well. I would still really love to make this kind of cliff. The only thing I would not like to get is all the fucking calcite. That might take a really long time to get this amount of calcite, even though it kinda is alright, right? It's not that much calcite if you really look at it. It's more concrete powder and diorite and calcite. But it's still quite a lot, yeah. And there you have it. That's a lot of cliffs, right? But at least we now have a higher point in our world over here, and I can look at everything else. Ah, that's good, right? And I'll see you guys in the next episode. And I'll end this video when I hit the ground. See you guys! Alright, that was not as high as I expected.